Hello and welcome to another financial analysis video. Today I'm responding to a request by a Seeking Alpha reader and a follower of mine on Windstream Communications. He asked if Windstream's dividend, in my opinion, was sustainable. And I used to cover Windstream because they were in the S&P 500. I maintain the database, but they have since had a real estate investment trust spin off of the telecom business, and so what is left is sort of a different structure. Now, I'm going to run you through the metrics I use to measure it, and then I'm going to talk just a little bit about, in my summary, Windstream and why this does make me feel uncomfortable, why this company does make me feel uncomfortable. First off, let's look at that yield, 9.08%. Again, the dividend dropped related to the spinoff. The other company got the remaining portion of the dividend. I don't know exactly if that company combined with this raised it beyond 25 cents or not. It really is irrelevant to this analysis, but I thought I'd ask the question anyways. Windstream is struggling right now. The return on equity is negative. It was at around 30%, but the company is restructuring and they are taking they took some losses last quarter as a result. And going forward, they're not projecting any forward earnings. You could see by this chart over here, no positive forward earnings going forward, and so a big restructuring for Windstream Communications, a lot of write-offs, and so it's hard based on a return on equity basis to come up with whether or not this dividend is sustainable. So we've got negative earnings, we've got a negative return on equity. What else can we look at? Let's look at free cash flow then, and how that works. So by the way, with negative earnings, you also have no payout ratio, so we can't look at payout ratio either. So I want to take a look at free cash flow here and where that stands, and that's another one right now that is really dipping. It's now down to $293 million on a trailing 12-month basis. However, what's interesting is on the dividend payout side, over the next 4 quarters with the share counts and everything, Windstream really is only going to spend about $60 million in dividends. And so that is a little bit promising. It's a small amount of money, and still, despite that, you get a high dividend yield. So on a free cash flow basis right now, believe it or not, Windstream does pass the test. However, I want to show you something, and this may lead to deeper issues. Operating cash flow right now, this is quarterly. I'm on the quarterly slides, and I typically don't do this, but your quarterly operating information is a leading indicator of what your future trailing 12-month information is going to be. And as you could see, free cash flow on a quarterly basis has gone negative for Windstream. That concerns me. That one more negative quarter like that, because you're going to take off Q2, so you're going to take off $156 million off that TTM number, and if it's negative again, you're going to be down near zero trailing 12-month free cash flow. So in one quarter, Windstream Communications dividend may not be sustainable using the free cash flow method. It is right now based on information prior to the restructuring. But since the restructuring, it doesn't look good. So I'm staying away from this stock, and I'm going to add another reason. And I know I may get some criticism on this, but I'm going to mention it. I don't know a lot about what the spinoff did. I don't know a lot about these two companies besides the fact one seems to be telecom, the other seems to be a real estate investment trust. And I know a lot of people would say, well, you got to study those operating, those qualitative operating metrics or characteristics prior to making a determination. My thought on that is so time consuming. I could do data analysis for several other companies in the time it would take to try to understand Windstream. And I mean, they've got negative free cash flow now, and they're probably going to go negative in the next few quarters. They're restructuring. They have negative earnings, negative return on equity. I'm just not comfortable giving a blessing here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and happy investing.